Hi, I'm Garth Greenwell, the author of Cleanness, and I'm talking today about three books that have inspired me as a writer. The first is St. Augustine's Confessions. Sometimes when people talk about a certain kind of contemporary writing that combines invented fictional elements along with elements of autobiography and also a kind of, essayistic thinking, they use this term autofiction and talk about it as though it were a recent invention. In fact, I think it's the oldest game in literature, and the guy who started it is Augustine. The Confessions is a beautiful book. It's one of the central books of my life. It was one of the first books that made me love literature. And I think this translation by Sarah Rudin, which is a recent translation, is by far the best. The second is a novel by Emile Zola, Germinal. I think I first read Zola maybe 20 years ago in graduate school. I read one novel and hadn't really looked at him since then, but early in the process of writing Cleanness, I picked him up again and became a little obsessed and read, I think, a dozen of the novels. There are many more to read. One of the extraordinary things about Zola is that I think he's probably our greatest writer of crowds. And there's an extraordinary sequence in Germinal where we watch a group of miners going to the house of the owners of the mine to present their grievances. And this group grows into a crowd and then becomes a mob, and this march turns into a riot. And Zola stretches this out over 100 pages. It's just extraordinary. And that example of both kind of group dynamics and how individual intention becomes subsumed in the passion of a mob, and also just how bodies move around space, around geography. I don't think I could have written the chapter in Cleanness called Decent People without the example of this. It's just one of the most wondrous sequences I know in literature. And I'll also say that another reason I cherish this book is because it challenges one of my central beliefs about art, or something that I think is a central belief about art, which is that it's my prejudice that great art is unlikely to be made by conscious political intention, that there's a line between art and propaganda. This book, Germinal, was absolutely written with a political intention. Zola wanted to bring light to and to change horrifying mining conditions in the north of France. And he succeeded. And at his funeral procession, there was a group of miners who sort of marched in the procession chanting Germinal in gratitude to him. So I feel grateful to this book for things that it taught me that I was able to use in my own writing, and also for reminding me that art is always bigger than anything I can believe about it. For the third book, I wanted to talk about a current inspiration and challenge, and that is Andrea Lawler's extraordinary novel, Paul Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl. So I don't even know how to talk about my feelings about this book. I'll say that I think it's one of the most extraordinary novels I've read over the past decade. It seems to me in queer fiction something entirely new, in just the voraciousness of its imagination, and then also in the way that it writes queer exuberance. As a writer and also as a reader, it's just my sensibility or my temperament to be drawn to melancholy and to kind of have a tragic sense of life. That's not an argument. It's not something I would believe or defend. It's not a choice. It's just sort of the way I'm set. As an artist, I want to make art that's bigger than my temperament. And reading this extraordinary novel, which is so full of joy and so playful and so exuberant, and also so beautiful, and I think so profound in its exploration of queerness and of desire and of sexuality, I just find it a wonderful artistic provocation, and I think Andrea Lawler is a genius.